sorry I knocked my computer over, but
No,
that was
the
actually
greatest thing ever.
Honest to God, that was hilarious.
That
and it
was
perfect.
fantastic.
We had people that wanted to.
I already know how I'm going to use that footage.
oh, good.
I already know.
And I apologize if I rambled too long in the weeds of television and.
No, not at all.
No, you know what?
Honestly, that's what this show's all about. We
It's
modeled it
long form.
after met your favorite author at the bar and heard some. That's what we wanted the show to be. Is
Absolutely.
It's not the typical dry interview you get where you get the people who've never read anything you've written and they're asking you all the questions that they've asked every author that's ever been on their show. We try not to do that. I mean, there's certain things that we're going to ask that you've been asked, obviously, but since we're all writers, we all think a little bit differently, I think.
My brother has a very popular podcast. Of course, I've now forgotten the name. He does with Ryder Strong, the former actor from Boy Meets World.
Okay.
All about books, and it's doing really, really well. They have it on some network, and they get a piece of the advertising revenue, whatever. Nice. And it's like, my God, we're actually making money at this. And he also has a show on the local NPR affiliate where he talks about books.
Well, that's fantastic.
And it's great. He gets a lot out of it. It's a lot of fun.
He's a witty guy. I follow him on Twitter as well. So
he's real good about talking books because he teaches writing.
Right.
And he's genuinely interested in everyone's different approach to the craft. I remember I was very fortunate. It had to have been like 1995. I went to Left Coast Crime in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, I'm just
in the bar. And in the bar was Michael Connolly, Robert Crace, Gar Anthony Haywood. I can't remember who the other writer was, but they were talking shop. And I was at a table eavesdropping, not subtly at all. And Michael Connolly actually said, "Hey, you want to join us?" And, "Oh, no. I'm nobody. I just haven't. My book's not even out yet." No, come join us. And they treated me like I was one of them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about our community, I think, is
I agree.
You meet Lee Child, you meet Jan Ivanovich, you meet the biggest names in our field, and they are as warm and welcoming. And I think there may be 3 or 4 people, we all know who they are, who are stuck up that way.
Right.
But the rest, just the nicest people on the planet. I mean, just so open.
And I had a little experience of, you can call me an unsuccessful screenwriter, but I had a little experience out west and sold a couple things that weren't produced. But I was used to that environment. And the environment when you're up and coming in that field, as you probably know, it's not very collegial all the time. A lot of times it's like, I don't want to tell you my idea. Just don't talk to me because I'm afraid you're going to steal my script or whatever. And so I was expecting that. And when I went to Thriller Fest, I was kind of blown away that I'm invited to the table to talk to, whoever it is, whether it's, Brad Taylor or Mark Graney or whatever, and having beers and just talking about, like, again, they didn't treat me like I was anybody other than them. And I was fascinated by that. And I'm really drawn to it. But one of the other things about
TV is exactly what you said. I mean, I was in TV, like you mentioned when you interviewed me, I had a period where I didn't write books. And when I got back into writing books with My Gun Has Bullets, I was already very active in television. And I thought books were going to be like TV. And I was given galleys of My Gun Has Bullets. And I think I went to BoucherCon in Seattle. They asked me to get blurbs. I didn't know any authors.
Yeah.
And I was, again, in the bar. And there was like Elmore Leonard, Tom Kokonis, Warren Murphy, George Chesbrough. Can't remember who else at the table. They had one empty seat. And again, I'm just eavesdropping. And Tom Kokonis noticed and invited me to the empty seat. I went, I'm not even published yet. No, sit down. And they asked me about my book, and I told them, and they said, "Well, why aren't you giving us a galley?" I said, "You want one?" "Well, that's why your publisher gave them to you, to give to people like us for blurbs." "Oh, okay, well, here." And I got blurbs from all of them except for Elmore Leonard.
Oh.
They all give you blurbs. But they were so warm, so open. None of the, "I'm an A-list writer, you're a D-list writer, I won't talk to you." Whereas in Hollywood, a showrunner's not going to hang out with a staff writer or a story editor. It's very class conscious.
Yeah.
As opposed totally to Lee Child will spend 4 hours sitting with somebody who self-published their own, Lee Child ripoff. He's the nicest guy in the world. It's a whole different planet. In books, no one thinks, if you sell a book, that means I'm not going to.
Right.
But in television, if you sell a script, that means I won't sell mine. it's much more, like you said.
Yeah, it's not like a finite market. I mean,
No.
yeah.
We had David Morrell was on the show a few weeks, probably, I don't know, early in the show, and we ended up making it a two-parter because he was just, you know, he got into this groove, and again, you know, we're nobody, but he talked to us like we were the most important people in his life at that point, and that's just, again, it's been our experience. Every single interview, I don't think we've had one interview where we got off thinking, man, that person really didn't want to talk to us, you know. So, and it's not about us. It's not.
We should have more energy, Lee.
It's not about us. It's just about this environment, this
it's
community.
the people.
My brother and I still sit and pinch ourselves, and we hope this never ends. I can't believe that I have met so many writers I admire. I now have a regular standing dinner date with Lawrence Block. Anytime we're at a conference together, he and I alternate who's going to pick the most bizarre restaurant, and we go together to dinner. And every time I sit there going, God, I wish I could go back in time to my 12-year-old self and say, you're going to be having dinner with Lawrence Block.
Right.
You're going to be friends. And there was a moment when Todd and I were having dinner with Lawrence Block in Seattle, where Todd and I just looked at each other, and we both had the same thought. Holy shit. We're having dinner with Lawrence Block and we're his friend. You know, and there was another time years later, or actually years earlier, we were at the LA Times Festival of Books, and Todd and I had dinner with Donald Westlake. Actually, it was Todd and I and Denise Hamilton with Donald Westlake, and we couldn't believe it. I mean, he's sitting there talking to us like we count for something, and it was, and I haven't lost it. I mean, still, there's so many times I'll meet even young writers I admire, and I'm still delighted that, you know, I meet them and they'll chat with me. And
well, how satisfying is it for you when you know, you're at a point now in your career where, you know, what you say has a lot of impact for some people, and I mean, how satisfying is that for you when, you know, you find somebody, you know, they have what it takes, and you help kind of, you know, put them in front of the right people and talk to the right folks to kind of help them along? I mean, is that something that just, like, you know, do you feel like it now you're paying it forward kind of situation?
I am more excited when one of our writers at Brash, the publishing company I have, gets a review in Publishers Weekly than I am for my own books. I am more excited to get their books delivered than my own, because we have launched the careers of 5 or 6 authors, published their first books, and to see, there's a guy, Jack Bunker. His first book, True Grift, got a starred review in PW. Wow. The audiobook got a starred review in PW as well.
Oh, wow.
We've done that with so many authors, not so many, but you know, we've launched quite a few authors, and it feels so good when it happens, and when they get the kind of recognition. And I feel maybe even a deeper thrill when an author who has disappeared off the face of the earth, that never got the recognition he deserved. It's a long story, but the short version is I've become obsessed with this author, Ralph Dennis, who wrote these books called Hard Man.
Right. I've been following you.
Introduced me to this series of books.
You kind of,
and I got so into the books. I'm sorry?
You finished his last book, didn't you?
Yes. I got so into the books that I ended up tracking down. I started this publishing company just so I could republish his out-of-print backlist and his unpublished books.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's how Brash was born. And it's been so great to publish his unpublished manuscripts and to bring this author back and get him the acclaim he never had in his lifetime. All of his unpublished novels have been published. They've all gotten rave reviews in Kirkus and Publishers Weekly, and it's just, that feels really good. Now he'll be remembered by more than just
to his family.
Yeah, for sure.
His family's got to be just over the moon.
And books are wonderful. And Joe Lansdale says there'd be no Hap and Leonard if it wasn't for Hard Man. And he wrote the introduction to the first reprint that I did, saying, Hap and Leonard is Hard Man and Hump in Texas. I basically just did Hard Man. And Shane Black said there wouldn't be Lethal Weapon if it wasn't for Hard Man.
Unbelievable.
Really?
That's maybe one of my favorite scripts ever. So that's
wow.
His brother, Shane Black's brother, Terry Black, who had a very short career in film, wrote 2 great scripts. He wrote one called I trying to remember what the original title was, but it was basically DOA about a guy who's dead and decomposing, and he has to find his killer before he decomposes.
Oh my gosh,
And they made it into a god-awful movie with Joe Piscopo.
Oh Jesus!
No.
But the script was wonderful. It was DOA. The guy was dead, but he had until he decomposed to find his killer. So he's falling apart while he's trying to. It was a great script.
Wow.
Well,
And then he wrote another script called The Ferret, about a ferret that becomes a man for a brief time and solves a crime or something. And the script was wonderful, and people kept buying it, but never got made.
Well, the script that Shane Black wrote that I think is a really good script that was not a good movie is The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
I read that script, and I really enjoyed the script. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, damn it.
Shane Black was 1 year ahead of me at UCLA.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years ahead of me. And his scripts were, in my mind, the scripts are always better than the movies. The Lethal Weapon script was much darker than what was shot. If I remember right, Riggs kills himself at the end of the original script.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just like Rambo dies at the end of First Blood in the original.
Oh, right. Exactly.
But then you can't have a Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of money on the table when you do that.
Well, again, I wasn't in the interview, but it wasn't in a sense. I had never intended to write a sequel to True Fiction. But when Amazon said, hey, the book was a huge success, we want a sequel, I went, yes. And I went, oh, fuck.
How do I do it?
He's a writer. What am I going to do? How often can he save the world? I mean, oh, man.
I got to tell you, from a personal standpoint, when I saw True Fiction and I saw the blur, like what it was about and everything, right before it came out, when I was 25, we just got married and we lived in Nashville. I wrote a short story called Real Pretenders, and it wasn't funny, it wasn't witty, but it was about a writer who was interviewing a source, and he got in a source, and the source gets killed when he's with him, and whoever the people are trying to kill the guy think the writer is somehow involved, and he's just like this writer, and he just met the source, never met him. And that was the premise of the short story. So when I read that, I was like, oh my god, this is so I jumped right on it, because
that like Running Man,
much better treatment of what I was what I was attempting.
Well, True Fiction was also inspired by a conversation I had with Larry Block. Larry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Larry.
Yeah.
It's called Larry. If you're close to him, you call him Lar, actually. But anyway, he was talking about, I can't remember the name of the author. We'll call him Joe Pevnick. He was saying that Joe Pevnick got robbed and someone stole all of his stuff and the police were not pursuing the case. And Larry said to Pevnick, well, why don't you just solve it? And Pevnick said, how can I solve it? I'm not a cop. And Larry said, but you write the Nick Stryker mysteries. I mean, you write one of the greatest detective series ever. You can do it. How can I do it? I'm not Nick Stryker. Yes, you are. Everything Nick has done is from your head. Just approach the case the way Nick would. I couldn't do that. I'm not that smart. You are that smart. And the guy never did it. But that story that Larry told me, I wish I could remember who the author was he was talking about, stuck with me. Because it's true, Lee Child is not Jack Reacher. He doesn't have the physical abilities that Jack Reacher has, or the training, but he doesn't think like Jack. Or I don't know if you've met Thomas Perry.
Not yet.
The Jane Whitefield books, where she's an Indian person who helps people escape, and he's always writing about people escaping assassins and government conspiracies and slipping into the darkness and all that. But you meet Tom, and he's this pot-bellied, middle-aged, professorial kind of guy, balding. But inside that mind is this seething assassin. I have no doubt if he put his mind to it, he could disappear tomorrow, or help you disappear, or commit the perfect murder.
Right.
And that was also an inspiration, because he doesn't look like a dangerous guy, but he is in here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
cool.
It's awesome. We're enjoying both those series a lot right now. So,
all right. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry to have taken up so much of your day.
No, you did a wonderful job. You were fantastic.
Thank you for giving us so much of your time. That's
no
always.
Yeah, we were looking forward to this one. We knew you were going to be funny.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I broke my computer just for you.
Yeah, that was the best. That was.